All right, everyone. I wanted to bring something up that just recently developed during the night was all the shooting or all this mass media uproar about a guy being shot in Wisconsin by police officers. The problem with this is there's not enough to really say what can be done. Right now we're at a state in the country that it's hard to prove a criminal wrong, and that they're actually being people are trying to pardon and be and justify criminal acts being done. Right now, I've had plenty of conversations through, especially through Facebook, comments that I've made. So I say it was fine. It happened. I'm telling you now, I don't care what your thoughts are of how bad or what you say of me, but what I'm saying now, it's not gonna matter to me. I don't care what you say. Come at me with everything you got. It's not gonna bother me in the slightest bit. But I've few of my responses. One of them has really stood out for myself when I say it. Somebody was getting after me, telling me, "Well, the police took too much force to stop him. That he could have been tasered, he could have been handcuffed." Well, we need to look at the situation also was that the police were already responding to a violent situation. It was a domestic dispute, and they were called. So they've already entered into a hostile environment, and they're supposed to do something about it. The guy was told multiple times to stop while the police even have their sidearms drawn. The guy ignored everything they've done, everything they were telling him, proceeded to open a vehicle and grab something from within. Then they opened fire. One thing that needs to be put into perspective: would he have been shot if he would have listened to what they said? I'm going to say no. He never would have been shot if he would have just done as what they were telling him. He would still be around today. Was it a shame he died? Yes. It's fine. But now everybody's going after the police, saying that it was too rough. So my call for people to really think and put themselves out there is, if you don't like it, you don't like what the police are doing, don't call them. Handle it yourself. See how the outcome is. Innocents could be killed, or something could be stopped. Then on top of that, if you didn't like the way they proceeded, which I believe it was justified in every bit of the way, if you don't like how they do it, how they do their job, which they are trained and paid to do, join the police yourself. Start your own law enforcement. And then put yourself in the situation of the police, thinking on that situation. How would you have responded in that group? Well, I know people would just sit there, just to prove me wrong, will say they wouldn't have done it. Nothing like that would have happened. I'm going to call out BS instantly. You have a person completely ignoring you, reaching for an unknown item in a vehicle. Could be a weapon, it could be a piece of paper, a pencil, it doesn't matter what it is. It is unknown to you. It could be a weapon of any type. Would you have reacted? Yes. With the whole thing of how this country is being done with the police, everybody's looking for every little thing to blame them on. Go ahead. But put yourself in that position. Would you have shot the person? Would you have stopped and decided, no, that's not how I would have done it? I would have tased him? Fine. We will never know. But put yourself in the situation of all the police officers in the country right now. All the acts of violence, of assault, the treatment of the police officers, the state of mind they're in throughout the entire country is they don't know what can happen. So with all this stuff going against the police, why would they want to stop and say, this guy is not going to be this is not going to turn out bad for us if he proceeds? Put yourself in that situation. And I'm going to tell you, personally, it would not happen. You guys would have done the exact same thing. Do your own law enforcement. See if the outcome would actually have been different. Would you have shot him sooner? Would you have shot him later? Would you have shot him at all? Don't know. But would it have happened? Probably. And it probably would have been a lot worse than the way it turned out for him with the police that actually shot him. So if you don't like it, do something that you think will actually change. Burning down your city, burning down your country, your community, definitely is not going to justify his criminal act. I've been saying I finally decided to do a video because of one thing that I had read that had been said that changed my whole perspective of trying to sugarcoat and make something sound a little less offensive. Now I don't care, because when I see an article talking about the 5-year-old boy Cannon being shot and killed, then people coming up with a group on Facebook supporting this guy shooting the 5-year-old with no reason while he's in his yard. No reason whatsoever. People are calling for it to be done. I'd seen some of the most deplorable comments, but there's one that stood out that should never have been said and would never be said by the people against all this violence. The boy's name was Cannon. The person made the comment, "What do you do with a cannon? You shoot it." Right there, that just showed me the level of despicability this country on that side of things is. How terrible these people are so inconsiderate that they're going to go at a 5-year-old kid that was killed at the hands of a man when all he's doing is playing in his yard. Fine. You want to play that game, you want to say those things, be ready to be told the exact same type of things back to you. The guy should have never have made it even to the prison or to being arrested. It was disgraceful. It was terrible. It was a despicable act. If you don't like it, that he got what he deserved or what he's going to get for shooting this boy, you're no better than him. Why say something about a kid being shot? I thought it was bad when I was seeing this stuff about Trump. People say the wrong Trump died. Yeah, that rings up there, but it's not as bad. If you want to sit there and you want to be treated equal, you want all this policing to stop the way it's been going. quit giving us the reasons to react the way they are. You're doing things that are causing these police to do this. All he had to do was comply. It's all he had to do, and he didn't do it. Why? Because the way people are going about the police today. Why do the things we do? So my censorship of myself has stopped. I'm putting it out there. I don't care. I'm going to say what I got to say, and if you don't like it, that's your opinion. That's your opinion about my opinion. Open to it. I can give it. But don't think it's okay to let a criminal act happen and that this criminal should not be charged. Everybody wants to say white privilege. How are all these rioters and protesters being released from jail with no charges? But yet we have one celebrity now that was trying to do something for her children. This is a white actress. Be sentenced to 2 months in jail for what she did was trying to get her child into a college. And in a way that should not have happened. She got 2 months. How is that white privilege? She wasn't released. What did she have to do? Attack a police officer? Did she have to burn down a building? Did she have to say it wasn't right because she's only doing her own thing or what she believes in? So why is it that there's white privilege out there, but yet this happened? If you don't like what is going on in this country, you don't like how the police are doing things, don't call if you don't want it. When I'm seeing Black Lives Matter and Antifa people having their little mob sessions, or their bigger mob session, and they are actually countered with the other side coming at them and actually using their own tactics against themselves. One of the first things that are coming out of these people's mouths are call the police. The very police that they are trying to defund, disarm, or dismantle. People are going to be a lot more supportive of the police because they head to the danger we might be running from. We're passing them in the complete other direction. They're going to it when we're fleeing from it. I'm not in support of the ones that are actually causing this. It's not right. If you don't like how it's being done, take up a position in the police precinct. Become a cop. If not, start up your own law enforcement if you really feel that way about the police. And I guarantee you, we will have more killings by this law enforcement. We will have a lot more crime, and we will have a lot more problems that are actually worse than what happened in Wisconsin. And this will be our fault. Somehow, it'll be the police's fault. It'll be Trump's fault. I don't see that happening. He didn't do this. He actually admits Antifa's bad. It's a violent group. Who's burning down public buildings, businesses, families, communities, kicking people out of their own home just because they say reparations. It needs to stop. These people don't deserve it. It's being made out that blacks were, when they were enslaved 150 plus years ago, that It was the very first time slavery happened, and it was created then. It was created just strictly that one time. It only happened to blacks. Well, if you have that issue, take the time, look up Anthony Johnson from the 1600s. The one of the very first people to own slaves in the country was a black man. He had 5 slaves. 5. 4 were white. 1 was black. Not only did he enslave people, he enslaved his own race. But that's never brought up in any of these riots. Why? Because they want to push the narrative that whites can never experience racism, which is completely wrong, because right now our country is showing more racism than ever before. They're wanting racism to stop, but in reality, they're creating more. I was never racist at all. Once. I never had a racist thought. I never had a racist comment come out of my mouth. And I have this with other people I have talked with. And they agree, complete strangers. They agree. They've never had the same thing. But the way things are going, they are causing more racism every day. And why? Because they are openly yelling these racial slurs, saying these things. For what reason? But yet, whites are the racist. Herschel Walker's son, who hence is also black, he flat out says blacks are more racist than whites. It's just whites don't push the racist part. They don't play the racist card, which gets done a lot. And when it comes back to the police, they're white supremacist. Oh, it's because they're racist. That's not true, because we have black cops. White supremacy, if that was an issue, especially white privilege, 1, we would still have slaves. 2, there would never have been a black president, let alone him getting 2 terms. 3, look at professional athletes. Take the 3 major sports in the country: basketball, football, baseball. Who are the top paid players on these lists from these sports? Guarantee you it's going to be black. Mahomes in football, exact same thing. He's the highest paid player. Guess what? He's black. How is that racial? How is that white supremacy? How is that white privilege? It's not. It can't happen. So why are we calling it this? How does somebody like Oprah Winfrey come from almost nothing to being worth over $2.6 billion? If there is white supremacy and white privilege, that would never come close to happening. So when people want to cry racism, it's racist, it's white privilege, white supremacy, think twice about it, because when you even have black people flat out saying blacks are more racist than whites, that's it. That's all we need. And I know not all black people are in this Antifa and Black Lives Matter movement. There are lots of white people, but these are the people that are actually caving to what is being said and telling people yeah, we do need to give back. It's not going to happen. There's plenty of us that aren't going to just up and give you our home when we work to get our homes. Why? You want something for free. It's not going to happen. Now, I can't say one thing, or I can't say I'm seeing these protests in person because I live in a community that is very patriotic, that respect law enforcement, and do what they say. The closest any of this stuff has come to my community is between 2 and 3 hour drive away. So unlike all these people going out and protesting because of police or whatever, I have responsibility. I have kids. I'm taking care of my kids first. I'm not just going to up and leave them. I'm definitely not going to take them like some of these protesters do. Take them to the protest and basically use them as a shield. It happened in Indianapolis. It's going to happen more. There's the video. Flat out. Guy trying to get by on the street. What happens? A guy pulls a gun on him. When they have a group of people illegally blocking a street, a guy tries to go around or go through. Guy pulls a pistol on him, pointing it at him, saying he's protecting an 11-year-old girl, which clearly in the video, there is no child behind him. So the guy being threatened with the gun backs up and goes to the other side of the road to go around. What happens? The person recording the video stays in one spot, and you see somebody else grabbing a child and running across in front of the person recording out to block the truck on the road. Right there, every single last person in that group needed to be arrested for child endangerment. Why? Why do we have to stoop to a level, not we, you, stoop to a level to use children, your own child, as a shield to hide behind? That doesn't make you a very good parent. I'm a single father with full custody of my children. Why? Because my children are on the unfortunate part of having a worthless mother. When she had custody, one almost died because she passed out on pills. I have another with a severe kidney disorder. So yes, my priorities are them first, then me. If you're enough of a piece of trash that you're going to go out and use your children to prove a point, you are lower than dirt. You should never be allowed around anybody in this country to put a children's life in danger. And if you're just sitting there and you're calling it okay and you're letting it happen, you're just as bad as the person that's doing it. You don't care if a child's life is in danger. Who in their right mind does this? So I'm going to stop it here and let everybody think on their own, maybe this ought to be considered. If I have people support me, all the better. They know they agree with what I'm saying. This should not happen. But I'm telling you, I know there will be people that will argue and come at me in every way they can to to do anything they can to belittle me for what I say or I believe. I don't care. We can't stand up because some of us live too far away. Because this shit's only staying in one spot in these major cities. But we are out here. We are silent. But we're not silent because we choose to be. It's because we don't have the other option. And we actually accept our responsibilities. So stop and think. Should this happen? Should it be done this way? Or should action be taken by Trump and finally call martial law and military action to put an end to the violence, to the destruction, all this mayhem that these mayors and governors are allowing? Whose life's more important? The lives of innocent men, women, and children of all colors? Or their political stance so they can improve their position to warp all the more minds that they can? So if you agree with me, thank you. If you don't, I'm sorry. I'm not a religious person, so I'm not going to say I pray for you. I'm not religious, but it's my choice. The same as speaking out for Black Lives Matter. It's my belief that what they're doing is wrong. And people need to start standing up for it. So think hard, everybody. Everybody, I don't care who you are. Tell us we're wrong for wanting to keep our children safe, to stopping criminals being pardoned, stopping trying to justify a criminal act. Stop it all, or just let it burn. So President Trump, if you ever see this, if it ever gets passed out, please consider. We saw it in Portland. We saw it in Seattle. You send in federal police. The mayors had the biggest issue of it. You told them what you were doing, you're protecting. Guess what? It didn't happen. You pulled out. You pulled those people out. Guess what happened? They still burnt down that courthouse. They still caught that courthouse on fire. So what they were saying never happened. So step up past these governors, past these mayors. Please. I'll ask you the very same question. Who's more important? The lives of the innocent men and children of all of us? Or listening to these governors and mayors complain and say what you're doing is wrong? Who's going to come out the better person? Who's going to come out as a better person and looking better? It's going to be you. So please, if you hear this, you ever watch this video, if it ever comes across to you, listen. Ask yourself that question and see if it happens. Martial law needs done. Military action needs taken. Pull them from other people, other places out in the world. Bring it back. Save our country first and then worry about other countries. That's all I have to say. Thank you for hearing it. If you watched it, great. If not, maybe someday you'll hear it from somebody else. But think hard, everybody. Please do it. But try to be safe at the same time. Thank you.